Hello, 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 everyone. How is everybody doing on this evening? Um, got a little bit different setup on this evening. I just finished recording the radio show, so of course I still have the bigger mic and everything connected. So I hope everyone can hear me. I think everyone can hear me. I'm about to make sure that everybody can hear me. You know, of course they can. Great. Um, just going to wait a second just to get a couple more people in, and then I am going to jump right into tonight's lesson. Um, like we are at the 3 minute walk. It is, it's 8:16, so I'm gonna give it a couple more seconds. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna try one thing. I'm waiting for a couple more to come in. Um, Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am going to get started in like literally 2 seconds. I am just checking some audio levels and we are going to be on the go. That is exactly what we're going to do. And so awesome. Did I see a comment? Hey, hey, Keisha. Hey, hey, hey. So that means you can hear me well because I have a different audio set up today. So let us get going. Awesome. I was able to hear some things. It was working out great. We are going to get this started. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for our devotional this week, Mind Nutrition. And today we are going to be talking about thoughts that matter. Yes. So we are going to be talking about thoughts that matter. And sometimes we don't think that our thoughts matter. We think that, we can keep things bottled up. We can keep them, not really address things, and then they bubble over and we wonder what happens and why does it happen. This is why we have to understand that our thoughts do matter. And we have two scriptures this evening. We're going to be coming from Proverbs, the 12th chapter and the 25th verse. Why does it look like where? Because I have the big are you if you're talking about this, I have the big mic on today. I was recording the show. I just got from finished doing the radio show. And so I always use this to record it. And with the time period, so this is the muffler that is used as a cover to cover the extra sound. See, the mic is hiding right there. This goes over the mic. That's why it looks like that. So we get giddy sometimes, you guys. So we are going to be reading Proverbs, the 12th chapter and the 25th verse. And we are going to be reading that from the New Living Translation version. And it reads as such: worry weighs a person down, and encouraging words cheers a person up. And our next scripture is going to be coming from Philippians, the 4th chapter and the 8th verse. And we are going to also be reading from the New Living Translation version. And it says, now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about the things that are excellent and worthy of praise. you know that is key. We have to begin to make sure that our mind and our thought process is on things of God and not on things that can drag us down, make us feel bad, make us wonder if we're making the right decision, because that's what the enemy does. The enemy gets us into the you have to do it this way, and if you don't do it this way, you're a failure. And he loves to do that. He's just sit back laughing like, ha ha ha, I got them. And that is so far from the truth, you know. So today, let's consider the life of the great Apostle Paul. He was used to pen much of the New Testament. God used him to take a message of the gospel to Rome and then the world. He was on fire, working for God and serving the church. And at one point, his workload and the persecution he was receiving for doing God's work became such a burden that he was thinking death might be a welcomed alternative. Now, before I go any further, I want to say this. Has it been a point in your life when you have so much on your plate, when things just are going wrong, when everything looks like it can't happen no more, and you just feel like throwing in the towel and tapping out? And then you feel guilty about it because you don't understand. Paul felt that way. He had so much going on in his life that he was like, you know what? I can give this a wrap. I can be done. So it happens to the best of them. And what he said in Philippians 1:23 to 24, I'm going to read the New Living Translation version of that. And he said, I'm torn between two desires. I long to go and be with Christ, which will be far better for me, but for your sakes it is better that I continue to live. Think about this. See, Paul was in a serious emotional struggle at that point. He was obviously thinking that death would bring personal relief and benefit. Have you ever thought, have you ever thought about that? Like, you have at least had the thought that if you ever felt depressed. And so let's stop there. I do. I suffer from depression. So sometimes I feel like, you know what? I don't need to be here dealing with all this stuff. I could be chilling with the Father or whatever. Like, why do I have to put up with this day to day, this constant whatever? And see, that's where the enemy relishes. When he thinks there's a little opening, he kind of creeps in. And then he's like, well, yeah, why do you have to still be here? Well, why do you have to do that? And see, what's happened is that we've given him a little bit of opening, unbeknownst to us, that he can kind of creep in and then make it, hard to do what God has called us to do. You know, remember when we was talking about yesterday, when you think that two thoughts at the same time, and neither could Paul. See, did you see how he countered the thought? He countered it by saying, choosing an intentional thought which involved the plan of God for his ministry. It is better for you if I live, better for you if I don't give up. You have people and places and situations that it is better for you if you come out of that funk, if you come out of the woes of life and move forward and push forward to what God has called you to be. Because if we stick in the negativity of ourselves and the things that are going on and the things that could potentially weigh us down, we can take our mind and our eyes off of what God is having us to do. Because yes, it gets frustrating sometimes. Yes, it gets heavy. Yes, you feel people are ungrateful. Yes, you feel no one's listening or no one's getting it. And then you realize you're like, you know what, I'm done. But then you come to yourself and be like, you know what, God, I know it would be better for me. I feel it would be better for me if I was just to tap out of this race. But I understand that it is better for you. It is better for the overall kingdom. It is better for that brother or that sister who don't know any better, that I keep pushing forward in what you've called me to do. And so what that is like, it's a course correction of your mind. Because it's not to say that those thoughts won't creep in. You can't let them settle in and go to bed and have fun and have a good old time up in there. You got to kick them out. Because yeah, it'll be good for me. It'll be good for me every night to just come home, chill, and just relax. It'll be best for me. It'll be best for me not to have to make sure that the audio is correct, that the video is going on, that, the lessons aren't prepared, that I could be doing something else. That's better for me. However, it is best for Christ that I'm on here every night, that the audio is right, that the video is right, that I've studied the lesson, that I've prepared what he's told me to prepare. because it's for the overall kingdom. So the moment I get and I feel like that it's too much. Now, this is a dead difference than when you're tired, when you're sick, or whenever, and God tells you to rest. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when the enemy and you get tired and you're frustrated and you're not seeing the results and you're not seeing how people are growing and you're not seeing how people are moving and you're just ready to throw in the towel. That's what I'm talking about. Even though it may feel like we should do it on a personal level, God needs us to snap out of it because He is dependent on us to do what He told us to do. Now, see, on yesterday, we were talking about choices, and we was talking that Jesus had told Martha that her sister Mary had made the better choice. Now, we can see in this whole scenario, in the situation with Paul, he, had to make a similar decision. So we don't know how long he had pounded the first thought. But just imagine how things could have been different if he hadn't intentionally made a better choice and continued to do what God told him to do. The spread of the gospel wouldn't have traveled to Europe. It wouldn't have, spread to where we're at right now. I wouldn't possibly be right here right now talking to you on this evening. Even in his struggle, even in him feeling tired and feeling overwhelmed and weakened, he chose his presence and his service over the negativity and burdensome thoughts. And that is what I'm saying. It's like, it is not that we're not going to deal with those situations. It's not that they're not going to come. It's not that they're not going to knock on your door. And it may not be overnight you just make them go away. You may have pondered on them for a couple of weeks. You may have said, you know what, I'm going to give this up. This isn't my cup of tea. I don't want to work with these people. I don't want to do any of this. And you could have been contemplating that for a minute. And you know what the right thing to do is, and you know what your flesh wants you to do, and you know what your spirit wants you to do. And sometimes we dwell in that flesh just a little bit. I know I do. But when you make the conscious decision to decide that you're going to do what God needs you to do, that you are going to walk in the spirit in spite of what your flesh feels like, God always rewards that. Always. And see, there's a lot of people in the Bible who you could tell that you're seeing it now that just didn't always feel like it. I'm grateful that Paul didn't decide to throw in the towel. I really am, because would we be here today? Will we have the situations that we have today? Will we have the connections that we have? What kind of life would we be having? You know, let's think about Moses, Job, David. If they went left, if they fully went the way that they were feeling all the time, where would we be right now? If our parents or loved ones completely went left when it came to us, where could we be? If God just decided that He was going to just like, you know what, y'all are not savable, I'm done, we wouldn't be here. So as much, frustration as we have and as much that we go through, and yes, it can be a lot of the times, He is faithful to us and we have to be faithful to Him. Many of us are called to do such great things, and He's always going to equip us. And we're going to always have those times where we feel like we've just tapped out. We're always going to feel like those times where, you know what, these people aren't getting it. No one's paying attention. Why should I continue to do this? But at the end of the day, when you come to yourself and you remember who you are and whose you are, you will continue to do the work of the kingdom. Again, trials, tribulations, it all comes in the package. So we are not going to hype those up and say that they're more grand than it's been a part of the package since the beginning. And it's in those trials and it's in those tribulations and it's in those low points that strengthens our faith, strengthens our love, our joy, our peace, our patience, our faithfulness, our kindness, our gentleness. It's in those moments where it's strengthened. So on any given day, I gladly will stop doing what I need to do or how I'm feeling to move forward to what God wants us to do. So we don't have to think that somebody else didn't go through it. He did. He gave you a clear example, you know, clear example of one of the men who was responsible. Read the book of Acts. I want you to read the book of Acts. I really do. I keep coming back to that. But this man is responsible for much of the New Testament, for spreading the gospel, for, really, really helping to build the church. And he got tired and he was frustrated. But it's nevertheless, thy will be done. Not how I'm feeling, not in the emotions that I'm in right now, but the will, what you want me to do, I am going to do it. No and ifs or buts about it. And that is the wonderful thing about following God, because he gives you that free will to allow you the aspect to really ponder it out. I mean, he tells you what to choose, but he gives you the opportunity to make that choice and to live with it and to do what God needs you to do. So arrest those negative thoughts. You're going to have them, but don't dwell in them. Don't live in them. Don't let them take up residence and have a good old field time partnering with you. No, sir, no, ma'am. Kick them to the curb and remember who and whose you are, and remember that you are called to a greater purpose. So even when you don't feel like doing it, remember it is to the benefit of the kingdom and the benefit of God and for his glory that you continue on and doing what it is he's called you to do. He's going to give you what you need. He's going to give you the strength. And at the time you need it, he will give you rest. Never think he won't. He will. But you have to be obedient to what it is he has for you. So I want to thank you for joining us this evening for our thoughts, thoughts of the matter, mind nutrition, thoughts that matter. Um, if you're not a part of our Facebook group, you can definitely find us on YV Daily Devotionals. Let me pull that up. And that is a Y as in yellow, V as in Victor, Daily Devotionals. That is where we have all of our videos, all of our bonus content. We have such amazing additional study content in the group. So definitely come on board and join us for that. On tomorrow, the topic is going to be good enough for Jesus, good enough for me. And we'll be wrapping up this week on mind nutrition. If you have any praise reports or prayer requests, definitely let us know what those are. Again, myself and Minister Peterson are constantly praying for you, for your benefit, for your well-being, for the study. But you may have something specifically that you may need some prayer on, and we want to know what those are. You can use the link to submit the prayer request or praise report, or you can leave it in the comments, or you can instant message myself or Minister Peterson. So definitely you can do it on our business pages, you can do it on our personal pages. We want to make sure that we are keeping you lifted in prayer, and we also want to celebrate the greatness and the milestones that God gives you as well. So give us those praise reports and prayer requests so that we can not only pray for you, but we can celebrate what God has done for you. So we will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. It's Friday. Yay! But we'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we go to Good Enough for Jesus, Good Enough for Me, and we wrap up this week of My Nutrition. Know that I love you, like the want the best for you. Have a wonderful evening. Love you much. And I'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Good night.